Using the power of the internet, you can now watch GLC on any TV in the US, Canada, the UK, and Ireland with Roku. Basically, a box that connects to your television. Roku acts as a middleman between your internet connection and your television. So if you have internet service at your home, chances are high that you can watch all of the great GLC programming. And best of all, it's highly affordable too, with only a one-time fee ranging from $50 to $100. Log on to our website, www.glc.us.com, for details on how you can watch GLC via Roku.
Well, we have a Fast and Furious program for you today. I'm Amy Cooper here with
Dr. Rick Wunsch.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's almost Shabbat.
Yay.
Yay.
It's been a crazy week, and we're going to fill you in on a little bit of that. First, I want to tell you that we were planning on having Yohanan Salamanca and his wife in next week. We had purchased those plane tickets back in July, shortly after we'd done that Skype interview with him. And I just had this nagging feeling a couple of days ago. And I sent him an email and I asked, are we still a go? Well, I heard back from him yesterday. And no, he will not be able to come up next week. And this is why I'm telling you this. His wife has gone back into the hospital. And it's more along the lines that, was it a third of her heart?
Yes.
Is basically dead.
Yes.
And so she gets tired, and sometimes she'll even faint and this and that, but it's very difficult. And so she was back in the hospital. And also, their oldest son, not the little boy, but the oldest son was in a pretty bad car wreck yesterday, and he sustained quite a few injuries, and he was undergoing some tests today to see if there was anything internal, even in his brain or whatever. So please keep Yohanan and his family in prayer. They are very much experiencing what we are experiencing here at GLC, and it is a tremendous amount of attack, and it has been ongoing for nearly 2 years now.
Yes.
Really severe. Now, on a good report for you is my mama. I haven't thought to say anything to you about her really, because she's doing so good. She's up, she's cooking, and she's having quite the wonderful time, not being allowed to drive at the moment and just getting to stay home, something she hasn't gotten to do in about 32 years. So she's kind of happy. And anyway, thank you to all of you who have been writing in and wishing her well and saying, give us a report on your mother. So there you are. There's a report on my mom. Dad he's actually been staying home with her a lot of the time, the last week anyway, and I think he's actually enjoying it too. So who knows? All right, we are going to go to the buzz with Jenny, and then we've got a few more things to tell you before we get to the news.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's Buzz. I hope you've all had a great week. I'm buzzing in to remind you to order your 2014-2015 Hebrew wall calendars. We're continuing to have excellent feedback on them, so get yours while they last. Coming soon to the GLC bookstore, the Roku Stick. That little guy that you see on your screen is a convenient little stick that you pop into your TV's HDMI port to get the thousands of channels offered by Roku. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Roku is a worthy household investment. It's also a very inexpensive gift idea. So if you want your friends and family to start watching GLC, but they can't get us on satellite or cable, why not hook them up with a Roku device? You can also find Roku at Walmart, Best Buy, Target, and Amazon. We'll have the Roku stick for sale in a few weeks, and I'll keep you posted on that. From time to time, we get questions about the religious preference of GLC. Sometimes people think we're a Jewish television station or don't quite know where to place GLC on the spiritual map. My response is usually to say that we're a Christian television station that focuses on teaching the Hebrew roots of the Christian faith and has a desire to pursue the understanding of the Jewish-Gentile relationship. So that brings me to my next point. I want everyone who isn't already aware to know that we don't carry only Jewish-themed books. Yes, we have some live transformative literature written by past and present rabbis and Jewish thinkers, but we also have a wide selection from evangelical authors and pastors. I picked this one up in our Christian Living section. It's called Prayers That Avail Much for Daily Living. This is packed full of scriptural, Holy Spirit-inspired, powerful prayers for every day and every situation. On the first page, there's a prayer for the new year. Now, this author is probably not referring to Rosh Hashanah as the new year, but if you, like us at GLC, believe that Rosh Hashanah is the new year that was instituted by God, then you're getting ready to honor it in the next few weeks. I'll read you just a few lines of the prayer on page 1 in this book that to me is so poignant as we prepare ourselves for this new season. Lord, your word is streamlining my goals according to your plans and purposes. Thank you for new relationships and new connections that you will bring forth with your mighty power. My primary goal is to know you better so our relationship will become even stronger this year. My belief is in victory, not defeat. Success will come to me as I seek first your kingdom and your righteousness. Forgetting the past, I look forward to what lies ahead. Now that is only a tiny fraction of the inspiration that's in this book. I believe it's one that should be in every Christian home. So call and order a copy or go online to our website to find out more. That's the buzz for this week. We're so happy it's a weekend. Thank the Lord that we can enter into his rest for the next few days. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, thank you so much for your support. God bless you and Shabbat Shalom.
You know, I'm not exactly sure why she thought that she needed to talk about who we are, but I'm sure that's because of the calls that she's getting. Yeah. And it's actually really great that she had that to say today. We have nothing to do with what Jenny says.
Right.
You know, she just does it. We watch it, and there you
clap.
are. Right. Very good, Jenny. But one of the things that she said was, no, we are a Christian television station that is committed to teaching the Jewish roots of our faith.
Right.
The Messiah was promised to the Jewish people, and that's what we're trying to help Christians understand.
Yes.
The Messiah is Jewish.
Yes.
That will never change.
Right.
And helping Christians to understand the correct relationship between Jews and non-Jews, the Gentiles,
right,
which is who we are, the Gentiles grafted in thanks to their Messiah.
Right.
Right? Okay, well, one of the things that's really important about that is, like, everything we focus on the news, almost except Ebola, has to do with that. All of the Islamic State stuff, all of the infighting between the Sunni Muslims against the Shiite Muslims. Sunnis are practically everybody we've helped get into power. The Saudi king, Shiite would be Bashar Assad. And it's very interesting what's going on there because all of the Sunnis are trying to get him out of power. And as that's happening, we're arming the rebels and that are fighting him. And we're trying to tell you this is really not a good thing that we're doing this. It's really not a good thing. It's kind of scary to me.
Everything we do is focused upon the things that the Bible focuses upon.
Correct.
So that's our lens. God loves the world, no doubt about that. He says it over and over and over. But if you were to take a magnifying glass, a lens, and look at the Bible, his focus is on the land of the Bible and the Jewish people. Its focus is upon Israel. Of course, he loves the whole world, but that's his focus. That's why it's our focus.
And that's why he said that the Jewish people are the apple of his eye. Then that's not going to change. He's not this God who changes his mind about things.
Right.
My goodness, if he made a covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and he's that willing to break it, to turn his back on the Jewish people?
What chance do we have?
Zero.
Right.
Less than zero, actually. But anyway, one of the stories in the news that I did not pull for today is about Senator Ted Cruz. He was at an event with Christians.
Okay.
And when he spoke about supporting Israel, there was so much booing going on that he said, you know what, if you're not going to support Israel and you're not going to support the Jewish people, I'm out of here. And he turned around and he walked off the stage. This is why GLC is important. Christians don't understand. No matter what, our job before God is to support the Jewish people.
Absolutely.
Period. End of story.
Right.
So anyway, what GLC is doing is pretty critically important, and that is also why we've been under such attack. And the people that are linked with us are under such attack. Finally, we are in the process of ordering the gifts to go out for Roundup. That happened almost a year ago.
Well, what has happened? There's a history to this.
Yes, and it's been quite the little nightmare because the office worked on pulling all of the information together for months and months and months. It landed on my desk, I think, towards the end of March, and I started looking at it and going, oh my gosh, it's wrong. And
we're not just talking a couple of gifts. We're talking hundreds.
Well, anybody who participated in Roundup knows that we had a lot of gifts every night. Well, there was confusion about that and who was to get what and whatnot. So I basically had to start from ground zero. And about the time I was just about finished getting the list of names corrected and the gifts, I went down for the count. I got food poisoning, and I was working so much that...
And you weren't just focused on that one thing.
Oh, my goodness,
You're still paying bills.
I'm still doing the other 7 jobs that I have, right? So anyway, when I went down for the count, it was basically for 5 weeks. I wasn't out of bed for 2, except to do what had to be done in accounting, like taking care of payroll. But when I came back, that meant I was further behind
on everything
else. And so I couldn't get focused back on Roundup again until about 3 weeks ago. And when I did, it was like starting at
zero again.
At zero again. It was absolutely crazy. And so finally got it worked out. And then we had an incredible miracle happen because we're struggling financially, and we have been. What happened when we didn't get those gifts out on time like people expected, we got a lot of people who stopped giving to us, a lot of people who are very angry about this, and there was nothing I could do. No. I was doing everything I possibly could. So finances have fallen off for the past 9 months now, and we had one of our very faithful partners for many, many years. The Lord spoke to her, and she contacted us, and she gave the funds to cover the Roundup gifts.
And that's amazing.
That's a miracle. Just as I was finishing up those names, because I'm like, you know what, it's so important to me to get those gifts out that I would rather go off the air than not get those gifts out, because I gave my word, and that's very important. So anyway, we are in the process now of ordering those gifts, and so they'll come in, and then they have to be packaged, and it's not just 5 or 10 people. There's a lot of people and a lot of different nights, 4 different levels of giving, and like Mom said, it was a confusing mess that I actually created because I wanted for the partners to get these gifts. But anyway, the good news is finally, so I have something that I can really be thanking the Lord for this weekend.
Well, they're belated gifts, but they'll be well received.
Yes.
And most people have been very gracious.
Yes, they have. We've had a lot of very gracious partners, and for those of you who have written in and voiced your understanding, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's very encouraging. Okay, we have a video for you. Well, I guess we better do the weekend lineup really fast.
Okay, let's do it.
And that is tonight at 8 p.m. Audrey Grace Shelby. I love that woman. Saturday at 2 p.m. and Sunday at 5 a.m. Don't want to miss that. Humberto Porras and Mario Espinoza. Saturday 1 a.m., Saturday 8 p.m., Monday 7 a.m. Dr. Charles Scott on Arsenic and Mercury. Saturday 5 a.m., Sunday 2 p.m., Monday 1 a.m. And Monty Irfan and Savannah Minor. 2 completely separate hours. Sunday 1 a.m., Sunday 8 p.m., and Monday at 2 p.m. Okay, we got permission to air this video from Memri. That's what I call them. It's MEMRI. Okay. They are the ones who do all the translating of the Arabic stuff. That whenever we're doing a news article and we say it was translated by, these are those people. You are not going to believe the video that they got a hold of. and we got permission from them to air it. So here you go. Some interesting things going on in the Gaza Strip.
احنا في واحد من الأنفاق التي يعكف رجال المقاومة في هذه المنطقة الحدودية على حفرها، ويعني كما تشاهدون هي ظروف غاية في الصعوبة رغم ما بها من هذه الظروف، لكن كما تشاهدون هي أنفاق ضيقة وليست مرتفعة كثيرا، وبالتالي تعتبر ظروف غاية في التعقيد. لكن اللافت ربما والمفاجئ هو أن هذا النفق يعتبر من الأنفاق التي يعني تشق ويتم حفرها حديثا، كما تلاحظون كأنه ما زال في طور الحفر، وبالتالي سنحاول إلقاء الضوء ما يحدث في الطرف الآخر من هذا النفق. واضح أن هذه مرحلة أخرى من مراحل إعداد النفق، وواضح أن هناك انهيارات ترابية، لكن واضح أيضا أن العمل ما زال جاريا. نحاول الوصول إلى أبعد نقطة ممكنة في داخل هذا النفق. يعطيكم العافية يا شباب. ممكن نصل لجوا لو سمحتوا. يعطيك العافية. كيف الحال؟ ايش بتسووا؟
نحن الآن في أحد أنفاق سرايا القدس التي بدأ العمل بها منذ اللحظة الأولى لانتهاء الحرب على غزة، ومنذ إعلان وقف إطلاق النار نحن مستمرون في العمل. بدأنا العمل ومستمرون، لا يعيقنا تهديدات العدو الصهيوني ولا تعيقنا.
لكن يعني هناك حرب وغارات إسرائيلية وقصف شديد في هذه المناطق الحدودية وسياسة الأرض المحروقة يعني، لكن يبدو أنكم تواصلون العمل.
نحن مستمرون في العمل، لا تعيقنا كما أسلفت تهديدات العدو ولا منع دخول الإسمنت ولا مواد البناء.
يعني هذه معروف أنها مناطق حدودية، يعني أنتم هذه الأنفاق لأي استخدامات؟ يعني
نحن نجهز هذه الأنفاق للمعركة القادمة، إن على صعيد الهجوم أو على صعيد يعني إطلاق قذائف الهاون والمدفعية، وهناك استخدامات أخرى لا نريد أن نفصح لها، نترك المجال للميدان يتحدث عنها بعون الله سبحانه وتعالى.
شكرا. يعني واضح أن المعركة، يعني واضح مما سمعناه على الأقل بأن المقاومين الفلسطينيين يتجهزون لما هو قادم. بكل الأحوال هذا ربما يعطي انعكاسا وانطباعا وصورة لما يمكن أن تحمله الأيام المقبلة في هذه المناطق في قطاع غزة، خصوصا إن لم يتم تحقيق شروط ومطالب المقاومة الفلسطينية. انتقلنا إلى نفق جديد في هذه المناطق الحدودية، وواضح بأنه أحسن حالا من النفق الذي كنا فيه، وواضح أيضا مما قيل لنا بأنه نفق هجومي يستخدم لتسديد الضربات كما هو واضح للدروع والدبابات الإسرائيلية في حال توغلت إلى هذا المكان. هناك عمليات صعود واضح أنها صعبة جدا، وواضح بأنه يعني هذه المناطق هي ربما الفتحة النهائية للنفق. بالفعل وصلنا إلى هذه المنطقة التي يعطيكم العافية. إيش النظام عندكم هنا؟ إيش بتسووا؟
بداية بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن سار على دربه أجمعين. نحن الآن في إحدى النقاط المتقدمة وإحدى الغرف الخاصة بإطلاق قذائف المضادة للضروع وبالتحديد سلاح الكورنيت. إن شاء الله ننتظر التعليمات للخروج إن شاء الله والتعامل مع الأهداف التابعة أو الأهداف التابعة للعدو.
يمكن أن نشاهد على سبيل المثال سلاحا مضادا للطائرات إن أمكن؟
إن شاء الله بالتأكيد ننتقل الآن.
That's disturbing.
Well, if they were very clear that this was after the ceasefire, and what I found interesting was, okay, so now people can see what's in store when it happens again. What's in store for the Gaza Strip? Well, they're going to be like bombarded because they're digging those tunnels right back over the border again.
So instead of using whatever supplies are allowed to come in to rebuild the infrastructure of the city, they're using it to work on the tunnels again.
That's right. It's like the millions and millions of dollars, the billions that we have sent in, that Israel has sent in
For aid.
To build housing, to build their infrastructure. Hamas has taken the cement that's supposed to be used for other buildings and made tunnels. That's where all that cement came from. So, and they wonder why there's a blockade. Well, we got a couple articles that we just absolutely have to get to before we close up today. And the first one comes from Haaretz and CNN. Stephen Sotloff, the Jewish-American journalist murdered by Islamic State militants last week, was sold to the terrorist organization by the supposedly moderate rebels in Syria, a family spokesman told CNN on Monday night. For the first time, we can say Stephen was sold at the border. Stephen's name was on a list that he had been responsible for the bombing of a hospital, Barak Barfi said on Anderson Cooper 360. This was false. Activists spread his name around.
Barfi told Cooper, "We believe that these so-called moderate rebels that people want our administration to support, one of them sold him probably for something between $25,000 and $50,000 to ISIS. And that was the reason he was captured." Barfi credited sources on the ground for providing the information, including details of the capture. Somebody at the border crossing made a phone call to ISIS, and they set up a fake checkpoint with many people. Stephen and his people that he went with could not escape, he said.
Barfi also described relations between the Sotloff family and the Obama administration as, quote, strained, and railed against what he called inaccurate statements put out by the U.S. government. Barfi told Cooper that the families were not kept regularly informed by the government and that the hostages were stationary for several months, despite U.S. assertions that the hostages were moved quite frequently.
Okay, this next one comes to us from Reuters, CNN, The Washington Post. The number of new Ebola cases in West Africa is growing faster than authorities can manage them, the World Health Organization, or WHO, said on Friday, renewing a call for health workers from around the world to go to the region to help. As the death toll rose to more than 2,400 people out of 4,784 cases, WHO Director General Margaret Chan told a news conference in Geneva the vast nature of the outbreak, particularly in the three hardest hit countries of Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, required a massive emergency response. Cases have also been reported in nearby Nigeria and Senegal. Chan said the real death toll is probably far higher than the latest number of 2,400. Today, there's not one single bed available for the treatment of an Ebola patient in the entire country of Liberia.
The number of new patients is moving far faster than the capacity to manage them. We need to surge at least 3 to 4 times to catch up with the outbreaks, Chan said. The Ebola infection rate and death toll have been particularly high among health workers who are exposed to hundreds of highly infectious patients who can pass the virus on through bodily fluids such as blood, excrement, sweat. Almost half of the 301 healthcare workers who've developed the disease have died.
Sarah Crow, a spokeswoman for UNICEF, said via phone from Monrovia, Liberia, the Ebola treatment centers are full. There are only 3 in the country. Families need help in finding new ways to deal with this and deal with their loved ones and give them care without exposing themselves to this infection. Survivors of the disease who are immune to reinfection were being used to look after thousands of children of people with suspected Ebola. About 2,000 children have lost one or both parents in Liberia alone, she said.
The UN Health Agency has previously warned there could be as many as 20,000 cases in the region before the outbreak is brought under control. Pledges of equipment and money are coming in, but 500 to 600 foreign experts and at least 1,000 local health workers are needed on the ground. The Cuban health minister said his country would send 165 healthcare workers to help in the fight, the largest contingent of foreign doctors and nurses to be committed so far. However, they'll arrive in October and will go to Sierra Leone, while thousands of new patients are expected in Liberia within weeks.
On Thursday, Reuters reported the International Monetary Fund said Ebola has crippled the mining, agriculture, and services sectors of Liberia and neighboring Sierra Leone. Liberian officials have been making dire pronouncements about the deepening crisis in their country. At a news conference on Thursday, Liberia's finance minister said Liberia is at war with an enemy we don't see. 2 days earlier, the defense minister, Brownie Samukai, told the UN Secretary Council Liberia is facing a serious threat to its national existence. The deadly Ebola virus has caused a disruption of the normal functioning of our state. The UN Special Envoy to Liberia, Karen Landgren, warned the Security Council that the Ebola crisis has become complex with political, security, economic, and social implications that will continue to affect the country well beyond the current medical emergency, according to Global Post.
Liberia is home to more than half of the epidemic's deaths and nearly half of all cases. On Monday, the WHO declared that cases are increasing exponentially in the Ebola-ravaged West African country, which is home to more than 4 million people. One London epidemiologist who is studying Ebola's spread in Monrovia has said that the rapidly spreading virus has the potential to infect the majority of Liberia's population, according to Britain's Channel 4 News. The outbreak and Liberia's efforts to contain it have angered many in the impoverished country. As Reuters reported, news of an escaped patient who wandered the streets looking for food after a hospital couldn't feed him has prompted lots of outcries in that country.
I bet.
Well, we love you. We hope you have a good weekend. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for GLC. Pray for Yohanan. Pray for my mom. Just keep praying. We love you. We'll see you next week.